Welcome to A Moment with Vivacious, a freedom ride where we the people gather to build ourselves, our family, our community, and our nation. For the sound of America for Progress has reached critical mass. Understanding that we must put aside our differences to focus on the greater good. This is a place of collaboration to rebuild and restore our nation. Welcome to A Moment with Vivacious. Good evening, and welcome to A Moment with Vivacious one more time. How are you tonight? Tonight we don't have a guest, it's us. And we're going to talk about something that's been on my heart for weeks. I was supposed to come in twice and do it, but there were hurricanes. And the first one involved Georgia, and I was stuck at work with that. But, we had to keep everybody safe. And the second one, we have so many members. We're not a club, right? We had so many of us that was out with family. And I just want to thank each and every one of you for being faithful and coming every week and doing your part in building America. Because the people must become the power that propels this nation. And as we can tell with this presidential election, and please pay attention to your local elections. Pay attention to your local elections because that's your home, and it's so important. I was speaking to a person I know, and he was saying, "Where you learn all this?" I said, "I learned it in civics class. But they don't teach civics anymore. So we're gonna have to reach out." And when I had any rallies, when I had the rally down in Milledgeville, every person that spoke, I had them tell what the office they were running for do. Why is that very important right now? Because you'll know what you're voting for, first of all. It's your responsibility to know. But second of all, we're going to become a people-powered nation. So we have to know when we're going after something we need, the voice of the people is going in the right place. So we need to know what the Secretary of State is doing. We need to know what the president does. We need to know what the mayor does and our councilmen do. So we'll know who to hold responsible for what it is we need. Because we can't just make a blanket statement anymore. They're not doing anything. We have to be knowledgeable and know. And that way we can move in power across our nation. And most of all, in our neighborhoods and our community. So I urge you to know everything that at your poll, in your district, what are you voting for? Who are you voting for? If you can get a ballot, that would be great because you can take a ballot in with you. You can't take your phone, you can't have your phone out, you can't have anything else, but you can have a ballot. So research those people. And I'm not going to only say vote, but know who you're voting for and know what you're voting for. Is that person qualified to run to do the work that that office does? We're going to be so smart about this. Good evening, Sigrid. I'm so glad you're with us today. Thank you for being so faithful. But today we're going to talk about it's time to enter the promised land. It's time to enter the promised land. But we're holding on to the golden calf. So tonight we're going to discuss this. Entering the Stephanie. Good night, Stephanie. How are you? Mama V is doing wonderful. So look. Hi, Barbara. How are you? Thanks for joining. I always see people say, you see all this stuff going on? It's the end of the world. I just want to tell people sometimes, take time to go read your Bible. The Bible says that when you hear of wars and rumors of wars, do not be afraid, because that's not the end. He's coming back for a pure and spotless bride. And that's why you're going to hear, if you're in church or wherever God decides to bring the word, you're going to hear a word on this line forever. Because it is time for us to prepare to leave the wilderness. And I do want to say, I might be a little preachy on this, so I apologize to anyone it may offend, but this is a preachy word. Because it is definitely from our Creator, okay? We have to prepare. But let's talk about, first of all, we have been deceived once again. If you go from the Bible, from the beginning of the Bible to the end of the Bible, it talks about those of us, and I'm sorry, I talk about the Bible because that's what I read frequently, okay? We're always deceived. Eve was deceived by the deceiver. Come all the way down. Everybody was deceived. Sometimes we're deceived by even that inner voice inside of us. We're deceived by shiny things. And that's why when Moses went up into the mountains, the Israelites, the Bible say, melted all the gold and made a golden calf, because everything that shines is so attractive. But so often we lose our souls and we lose our way when we get caught up in those shiny things. And let's move to today. I said this before, and I just want to reiterate it because it's important. We, and meaning black people, everybody on here is not black, and I know, but I'm just saying, I'm speaking of my community because that's what I know. We always say, those people dump those guns in our community, and I tell them the story. My godson told me, Nanny, where I'm from, my culture, we call you godmother, we call her Nanny. Nanny, I saw some men dropping off guns in our community. Well, how many generations, y'all, have we seen us kill us with these guns? When are we going to come to the point to say, no, I'm not going to be deceived by you anymore. I'm not going to do this to myself. I was on set the other day and I was interviewing this remarkable man who, he's a freedom fighter and he goes all across the country. And I begged him, if anything comes up with rioting or whatever, because God only knows, I saw that movie The Sixth, and they didn't tell us half of the things that people had done. That was a real war out there. And if anything on that a worse scale come, we have to be prepared. I said, please do not burn down our neighborhoods, because then the very people we're fighting, we need them to come help us rebuild. So please do not destroy our own. And right now we're just so stuck on material things. Another deceiver. I'm just naming some deceivers, some things that we're all deceivers. Thank you, Sarah. We're so stuck on material things. I want a new house. I want a new car. Our children all have $1,000 iPhones. We don't need half of that stuff. He promised that he would give us abundant life. But we're so busy collecting stuff and making other things and people our gods. There's an entertainer I see her. She come out in her little tights, leotard, we would call it, if you were in dancing school. And our girls go to see, our children go to see in the leotard. We just think it's everything. She's shining, but her little girl is dressed. We want big houses. Everybody want more. When I saw the people on the wharf protesting, they won $69 an hour, and that was a victory. It wasn't a victory for us. Everybody wants more, but don't count the cost to everybody else around them. It's so selfish. Because all the things we needed to run our house, that we needed for every day in our home, they were striking not to bring it out. So now they have to pay everybody out there $69 to unload those tankers and get it on trucks to come. So the truckers, how much money the truckers go? And other people see it. Nursing show saw it. Well, if the truckers could get $69 and they don't even have to have a high school diploma, then how much money should we be making? Who's going to pay for that? During the hurricane, they were offering nurses $125 to $175 an hour to go work in Florida. Somebody asked me, was I going? And I said, no way. You're not going for that? No, I'm not going for that. People can't afford health care now. So if we all go start making $125 an hour, who can pay for that? Our state, Georgia, didn't even qualify Medicaid for everyone. And so many children just got knocked off the list. They had to reapply. I hope everybody had their insurance again back by now, but we have to begin to think. We don't think. What's the cost for real? It's shiny. I want it. I want to be rich. I want to have everything with a name on it. I have a nurse that I work with. She don't know how many pairs of tennis shoes with names that she had on. How many pairs of shoes? She spends $600 a month on perfume. And people just pick up people. I'm just saying all the things that we're deceived by. All the things that we're deceived by. People just pick up people. Did I say good evening to Barbara? If I didn't, good evening. But people just pick up people. Don't get to know them. Don't get to know what they're bringing to you. But whatever they have in their spirit and their soul is going to be shared with you. That's my daddy used to always say, show me your company and I'll tell you who you are. But we're full of things. We're so in debt because we have to have that certain kind of car, that big house, without weighing the cost. And as a believer, for those of us who believe, without going to God. So sometimes we end up in the place after we So sometimes, thank you, Barb. After, and you can comment anytime you want on a conversation. Then when we look around and we've been deceived by so many things, by people, by food. How many of us are controlled by something else? I really had a battle with food. And I'm winning, but I have that battle. It's just certain things that I love to eat. If you know anything about somebody from New Orleans, you know we love to eat. But the food have to be good. We love good food. And when we talk about anything, we were not going to give any event, invite people over to our house. We have some food. And we're going to treat you right. And we love food. And I remember once somebody said, "You always talking about food." I said, my best friend, when we call each other, that's what we say, "Hey girl, what you doing? What you cook today? What you fixing? What y'all gonna have for dinner?" So many things just deceive us and get us out of the plan of God for our lives. I was just telling one young lady, I love her so much, and she come to me for advice. I don't know how to give all this relationship advice. I don't have one, but anyway, she comes to me for advice, and I said, "Look, I love this guy for you, but it's not good right now. Separate yourself until you can have a relationship with yourself. Once you can have a relationship with yourself, then you can love somebody else and bring them into that." So, like the little poem used to say, "Oh, the many webs we weave when we allow ourselves to be deceived." And deception has just washed us out of control. Deception has been washed us into a river of immorality, of promiscuous sex. You know, that there will be people that when you talk to them, they think if a man and a lady, well, sometimes a lady and a lady and a man and a man. If you meet somebody, just part of meeting somebody or knowing somebody is sexual. You know, we've come to the place, we've been so deceived, we've lost all of our morals. We've lost our families. Just the other day, I heard somebody say, "Oh, you know, family, that's really, sometimes you get your family outside of your family." I'm wondering, I said, "Now, did they hear that? Did they hear what they're saying? Oh, you get your family out of your family." No, you can't get your family out of your family. Your family is who your family is. I thank God for my beautiful, beautiful family. I have a beautiful family. My siblings and I are still tied together with passion and love for one another. And we raise our children the same way. So we all have that generational tie. I know I say that, but that's so important. Do we like everything about each other? No. I know sometimes they want to choke me, and I could probably choke them too sometimes, but I'm just not into stuff like that. But it is what it is. I think I've come to that point in life. But we are so deceived. So we have to come out. I know I always promise I'm not gonna say I have to, but we have to. But I'm gonna say it anyway. We have to come out of this. How do we come out? Because it's time. It's time. It's time for us to come out because it's time for God to parted our Jordan. We only talk about one water that he parted. We always talk about the Red Sea coming out of Egypt. But it's time for him to hold back the waters of our Jordan so that we can walk on into the promised land. Now, before I start talking about when we need to do that, let me talk about that for a minute. To get there, I'm sorry. Know this, that they had to believe God for the unseeable. It wasn't hard for Joshua to say, when the ark goes into the water, steps into the water, God will hold the water back, because he saw God do it at the Red Sea. So going in, we're going to have to be in the presence of God, believing him for everything he did back there. Because he didn't only do it back there in Egypt. He caused a lot of things to happen to get us out of Egypt. We caused a whole lot of things that caused us to walk around in our wilderness. And then when it came time, the people had to gather, come to the water, and believe that when the Ark of the Covenant stepped into the water, that it held the water back and they walked over. They walked over on dry land. So if he did it once, he'll do it bigger twice. I'm going forward, then I'm going to come backwards, okay? But remember, thank you, Barbara. Remember when they got there, what had to happen? Somebody occupied. Other nations, other people occupied their promise. So they had to believe again. Because you see, this is another thing people don't want to say. Oh, all of this war. This is not war. This is not. God is a warring God. He said, yes, this tribe and this tribe, y'all gonna go up, y'all gonna fight, and y'all gonna take that land. And then after y'all take that land, y'all gonna settle the women and children, and then y'all gonna go over there and y'all gonna fight in the other land. And to say that, I'm saying this: the promised land, you gotta fight to get it. There's some things that you're gonna have to fight to get it. So before we cross the Jordan, we have to do some things to prepare ourselves. Right? So the first thing we're going to work on is purging ourselves. We're going to have to come to this place with ourselves to say, how far am I separated from my purpose? How far am I separated from where I'm supposed to be? Who is in my life that God has not ordained? Who has been deceived to leave my life because I was deceived by something or someone, and that person was out of my life? Why am I eating this stuff that I know is doing me harm? Why am I involved in this and it has nothing to do with me? This is not where I want to go. Oh, I'm mad, or I'm hating somebody, and I never took time to talk to my sister or my brother or my dad. I was having a conversation with a young girl today, and she was telling me how her dad, her mom, and she was from her dad's first marriage, was very abusive. Her mama took it for 10 years before she took them and left. And now her daddy is married. And she says he doesn't beat his children. And the children that he have now is have a much better relationship than my sister and I have. And I said, what about your son? Do your dad have? She said, oh, he called and asked for him the other weekend. And I cried the whole time he was gone. But I wasn't sure what he was going to learn over there. I said, but is your dad good to him? She said, well, he's 7. My daddy may have seen him 8 times in his 7 years. I said, but let's see where your dad is better. Your dad is better. He don't beat people anymore. He's not mean. And some of the things that she said we went through. I said, so that means he's growing. Have you ever had a conversation? Well, no, I really don't care. I said, well, I think that conversation would help bring healing to you and to your dad. I remember a conversation I had with my dad. Everybody know the story. Y'all know the story. My mom passed. Dad was a single parent. And Dad did some crazy stuff. Dad didn't have a clue on what to do with his children, okay? But all he knew was that was his children. He was going to raise them. And that means more to me than anything. So Dad didn't have a clue. So once we got older, I told him about some of the things. I said, Dad, can we ever talk? I want to talk about this time and that time and how everything wasn't always prepared for us, how I didn't always have appropriate clothing. And he just put his head down and denied it all. But when we started having kids, all the things that I had mentioned to him, like he would go to Maison Blanche. He used to love that store, Maison Blanche. And when it was a holiday, he would buy all of our children a bear. All of it looked alike. And, because I told him how every Christmas he would say next week. So I had to go to school making up lies. I didn't have to, but I did. And so, we have to allow meaning, and right now I'm talking about family. We have to allow people to be human. We have to meet people where they are. But a big thing is we as people, especially women, we can't expect people to be who we are. Because sometimes the first thing we think, I would have never did them that. So that's a big clue, right? That's a big clue that that person is not like you. That person is not you. We have to, and this is while we're purging, think about the things we think about. Somebody asked me the other day, they said, you know why Trump say the things he said? Because I told him, that man is crazy. He's just saying all these crazy things. So this person was a Trumper. And he said, you know why he said those things? I said, because that's what he think. So when a man think it, so is he. So we have to filter. We must begin to filter the things that we put inside of us, in our minds and in our spirits. We have to begin to purge them out. How do we purge our mind and our spirit? For me as a Christian, it's with the Word of God. Because when I had them went all the way left, I needed to keep my mind on Christ. I needed the Word to say, I had to come to myself to say, what are you doing? What are you doing? And life pain could get you there. Life's pain can get you in a place that when you look up, you don't even recognize yourself anymore. When you know right from wrong, when you out here just balling, I was balling, man. I was having a good time. You know, people say, "Oh, that's not a good time." I was having fun, but I had to check myself, and it's work. It's work. You know, when you go to the doctor and you want to have, and they want to do surgery, or they just want to see what's wrong with you, a test. The first thing they're gonna do is clean you out. So before we could even plan to think about moving forward, we have to clean out what we think. And I'm hoping to help a lot of young kids. Everybody know I work with kids, a lot of teenagers, and I talk to them about their entertainment, because what you entertain yourself with is what you're filling yourself with. When this little girl told me last week, I said, "Well, baby, how you want to kill yourself? How you have a plan?" Oh, on TikTok, everybody been hanging themselves. I think that's the best way. Do you know so and so? Have you heard about so and so and so and so? I said, "No, I didn't." Well, she hung herself. She was all excited about it, like it was a big deal. She hung herself on TikTok. I got to get that name so I can tell y'all. So make sure your children are watching. She hung herself on TikTok. I said, "How old was this person?" She was 13. Y'all, our children 13 hanging themselves on TikTok. So if that's your entertainment, what you think is going to happen? How do we become a moral nation again? And when we think of morality, I'm sorry. When we think of morality, how can hurting another human being be okay? Most people who steal and lie, well, I worked in a jail, rob people, sometimes end up killing people. Well, how am I eat? For real? For real. You have to take a life, or take a person's hard-earned earnings from them. Whatever it is, your car, you steal a car, whatever. That person's hard earnings, because you don't want to get a job to feed yourself. Just yesterday at work, one of the nurses, she's from Jamaica, and she was talking to the African guy, and he said, "Food is more important than the place to stay. I can live in my car if I lose my house, but I gotta have food." She said, "That's crazy. You're in America. No, nobody goes hungry in America. Somebody will always feed you in America. Or you could go walking through the supermarket and eat till you're full. They can't arrest you for stealing because you didn't take it out." I said, "I don't know if that's the truth." And then another person was saying, why do children do the things they do? You know how many times a week I have to say, "You're gonna have to stop beating your mama. You cannot beat your mama like that. You can't curse your mama out." How many times a week? And me and my age and the way I was brought up, and I brought up my daughter, I'm thinking it's because parents give children too much leeway and no wisdom. They do not teach them the critical think. One way to begin to teach your children to critical think is when they ask you for something and you have to say no. Well, now these days they destroy the house. Literally, I'm not playing. Stephanie, you still on here? Do they destroy the houses when parents say no and declare that it's mental illness? And I think that is because parents don't say no and tell a child why I say no. Stephanie said yes. And tell the parents why. Tell the children why. You cannot go here because of this and this and that. You cannot just take this internet and have it 24 hours a day. I don't know what's entering your mind. I don't know what you're learning here. I don't know what your experience or who you're going to meet. We have to bring back boundaries. Because when we give children their boundaries back, they're going to be adults with boundaries. And when we put boundaries back in place, our children are going to know that there's consequences if you cross those boundaries. We're talking about purging. We're talking about relieving ourselves of all the things that take away our freedom. We are not spiritually free because our spirits is hooked up with some of the craziest stuff that's going on. When I hear some of the conversations of these young women, I say, they want to say the baby boomers ought to die off, but they don't know. You kill us off, you're killing off all the money. Because we were the richest generation. And who's going to pay taxes? But anyway, that was a little personal right there. I'm just teasing. But when I think about, I had boundaries, I had consequences. Look, they made sure we stayed in prayer. We had to pray, you know. We gotta separate ourselves. You know, we say Vivacious speaks is a revolution. And the real revolution is the evolution of our consciousness. And that's why when I'm on Vivacious Speaks and Moments with Vivacious, I want to give a word or have a guest to give a word that will rebuild our minds, that will rebuild our lives, that will clear the darkness, that we can look in our own eyes and see our own soul without being confused. I don't know what. You think I'm supposed to be doing this? I say, if you don't know how, I'm gonna know. I don't know what's gonna become of me and this guy. I don't know what's gonna become of me in this relationship. We gotta clean some stuff all out so you could talk to God about your relationship. So you could touch yourself and know what you like and you want and you need. And know when you meet that person that you're going to see the things or you're going to not see it. Or if your relationship is with God, and when you're with God, you know God's presence. You know his presence in everything you do, or you'll know if it's not. So we're going to begin to purge it. Maybe we could come back another time and we can talk about, because my people like solutions. Look, don't just tell me, I'm sorry, what I need to do. Tell us how to do it. So we're going to come back because we got to have that. we're going to come back and we're going to talk about how to purge. We're going to talk about how to consecrate ourselves. We're going to talk about how to gather ourselves. Because once we're one with us, we're going to know. Spirit begets spirit. We're going to know. But this, I hope, is getting us on a mindset of it's time. God is about to take us somewhere. I remember in the beginning of the year, it came in my spirit that everybody, by the end of this year, everybody will know I'm God. And I'm telling you, I don't know what's going to go on with this election. But Vivacious Speaks, we're going to come back and we're going to talk about how do we purge ourselves? How do we purge our minds? And it's not always just negative things like that. It could be negative in a way that we overthink everything. The other day I saw somebody walk in the room, and a person who came into the room said, "Oh wait, I'm listening to this conversation. I want to hear what y'all saying about me." Nobody was saying anything about her, but she went carrying on the conversation. I said, "Boo, calm down, girl. These people talking about blah 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 blah." And we'll lay there something to happen, and I know I'm good for this a lot. By the time my mind finished with it, it's something way out there. And when it all boils down, there's none of that. We have to take control of our thinking. And I told a young lady the other day, when you know that this is coming up in you, change what you think. Pick up a book and read. Turn on a song that will cut off all of that thinking and take your mind to something that's pleasurable, that makes you happy, that gives you peace. Do that. So if your mind is going off, think of something that makes you smile, or something, I want to do this. So go to YouTube and start watching a video of something you want to do, and cause that to occupy your thought. When you get upset with someone, don't respond. Wait. Go in the room if you feel like you want to scream. Go in the bathroom and say, "Look, I'll talk to you later." Or don't call them until you're at a peaceful place within yourself. And talk about it much like we're talking now. Please, if you're listening, please press like. But talk about it when you can think. If your inner man is not calm, don't talk about it. The other day, this person at work got so upset at me, she was screaming and hollering, and she went to get the boss to report me, and she was saying all this stuff, and most of it was not even true. My boss asked me, "Oh, okay, well, what do you have to say?" I said, "Nothing. She didn't come for peace. She's not trying to make it better. So if you don't mind, it's my time to pass medicine, and I'm going to go pass medicine." But if I would have said something back, it would have been a big, embarrassing argument from the two oldest people working there. And we have to be the example. So a big way to redirect ourselves is to hold our tongue. And then after, and God had put them on a 3-day fast. So the Israelites on 3 days, clean yourselves and wash your clothes and be ready on the 3rd day. So that's what we're going to talk about, how to get ready for the 3rd day, because we have to prepare to walk over. And knowing our place in government and how it works, and us to become that power, that's part of preparing. That's part of purging. But we're going to talk about that, and it's going to be good. So if you can fast, and for me, fasting is different things. Sometimes I don't have anything to eat or drink, but sometimes I stay away from certain things, or don't go certain places. However, I'm being led. However, I'm feeling like this is what it needs to happen right now. But we're gonna have to prepare, because we're going into that promised land, and the priests, they have to go first. So when we see their feet hit the water, we know He's gonna split our Jordan. This has been really, really good. Y'all have been really, really quiet. But just remember, the kingdom of God suffers violence, and the violent take it by force. That means all around the things of the kingdom of God, all around the things that God had for us, there's violence, there's a war. We have to fight to enter that. And what gives us strength and prepare us with wisdom and strategy? And that's cleansing and purging, right? Right. That's what's gonna give us the strength to go in and to occupy and to get the things that God calls for us to do, for us to have. Yo, we winning. I know it don't look like it, but we are winning. I just want to thank everybody. Nobody's saying nothing. Everybody's quiet. So I just want to thank y'all for being here with us tonight. We're getting off a little early, but please be thinking about those things. If you have anything to say, if you have a topic that you want to talk about, that you want to have a conversation with, please contact Vivacious at vivaciouspeaks@gmail.com. If you know my number, my email, my phone number, or text me, call me, message me. I'm Vivacious Speaks on Instagram, and I'm Vivacious Speaks on TikTok, and I'm Nanny Val on Facebook. It's been a pleasure. It's a joy. I hope I added something to your life, and you're going to be preparing and sharing with others how we need to prepare to enter into our promised land. We're going to get rid of all of that golden cow. We're going to clean ourselves from everything that have deceived us, and we're going to walk in our own truth, right? We're going to walk in truth and freedom, because truth makes you free. I can't wait to see you guys. Text me, call me, message me, and let me know how this word worked in your life. Good night, and I appreciate you.